Welcome in, everybody. We are Biscuits and SEC Live. I am Hammer. This is Boss Man back for another week. It is Wednesday, March the 18th. We've got March Madness. Speaking of March Madness, some very bad news out of Tuscaloosa for one of their star players. And then we're going to close the show with a little bit of a hodgepodge. There's some various news items, baseball, etc., that I think are worth touching on, but probably don't need to spend 15 or 20 minutes on. So we'll go a little bit of around the SEC, around the horn at the end. So we got a big show for y'all tonight. As always, sign up for the newsletter. We sent that out today. Goes out every Wednesday during the off season, bump up to twice a week during the season. But for now, just Wednesday mornings. It's totally free, so you can sign up. And if you hate it, unsubscribe after one edition, but we get good feedback on it. I don't think you will hate it, so I would appreciate if you would at least give us a shot and let us earn your subscription. It's just a newsletter that keeps you up to date with all things going on in the SEC and around the country, and we like to keep it light and fun while also informative. So give us some love on the newsletter, of course. Give us some love on all of our socials, YouTube. We're trying to grow all this stuff as we continue to show up week in, week out during the off season. Other people are sleeping, not Biscuits and SEC. We are here, and we will be here the rest of the off season until we get back to the glorious and wonderful fall. So without further ado, Boss Man, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I wish that the United States had won the other night in the World Baseball Classic, but it's tough losing after that Bryce Harper tying the game home run. But anyway, other than that, I'm good, man. 75 degrees here in Austin. We got the HOA is already pissed off at me for weeds that are growing in my yard. Look, I'm gonna get it taken care of. Don't worry about it. Boss Man's on the job, but we got rain, and then the day after the rain happened, I got weeds all in my yard, because it's spring and it's 75 degrees, and the HOA is up my butt. So I'm sure some of you can relate to that, but I'm gonna get it taken care of. Other than that, I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk a little bit of March Madness tonight. We got that right around the corner. One of the best days of the year. I'm sure many of you are calling in sick coming up tomorrow. So it's gonna be fun to talk about that, and then talk about a little bit more about what we got going on in college athletics. And by the way, I know we talked about this last week. Hammer and I, we are going to do at some point here during the offseason a deep dive into what the Super League would look like, and then what relegation might look like. And we're gonna give that proposal at some point here during the offseason. But with March Madness coming up, can't really do that. We got to have a full show at least for that, and we may even do it on a sideshow or something here as well. So we're going to figure that out, but big show for you tonight. Going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised it's only 75 degrees. It's like 85 here in Fort Collins. We're in the middle of a heat wave, man. We've been in the heat wave all winter, actually, because it hasn't been very cold or snowed. But
well, I hope you don't melt, Frosty. Good luck.
We'll try not to. We'll try not to out here. Well, cool. Let's get right into it. Like you said, one of the best days of the year, best weekends of the year, right up there with the Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday before the field gets whittled down to 16 is, four of the best days of the year. So that tips off tomorrow. Not to be a basketball purist here, or maybe not a basketball purist. I don't even know where they land on this, but I don't consider the play-in games part of this whole shindig. So no offense to Texas. Congrats on your win last night. And, moving on, I guess, into the field of 64. But, for me, tournament tips off tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'm obviously real excited about what we have here. So it was actually interesting. I saw something pretty crazy, but we've been talking about this on the last couple of weeks, kind of leading into it, that Lenardi had the SEC getting 10 teams into the field.
Yep.
Which came to fruition. So obviously, I'm sure y'all been filling out your brackets. 10 teams made it, including Texas in the play-in. And I also saw that Lenardi, I believe, I think he got all but one team in the field. I mean, he has, as much as
Yeah.
we kind of make fun of him, he's like dead on. And I think in the top
Dialed it.
six, he had like only a couple seeds off in the top six. Once you get down to,
Yeah.
through 16, I think he was a little off. But like top 1 through 6, I think there was only a couple he was even off on. So the dude was dialed in.
Super, super impressive. Yeah, I think I saw that as well. He was missed one team or missed just a couple teams, which is extremely impressive. You can't say, look, all the experts on TV these days, right? I mean, there was a joke that I saw that came out the other day. This guy was doing a parody of ESPN experts talking about March Madness. And hey, here at Biscuits and SEC, we love college basketball. We love, the NCAA tournament, but we're not going to tell you that we're experts on it. Okay. Like we are just as much of fans, armchair quarterbacks or armchair point guards here in terms of basketball, but ESPN folks and such, right? They'll put, random people on there to talk about college basketball. And some of the takes that they'll give, you're just like, you haven't watched any of this. Like you don't know anything about what you're talking about. And they're trying to tell you that you're an expert. Well, to Joe Lunardi's credit, he is an expert and he does seem to get it very right more often than not. So yeah, credit to him. That's super impressive that he got 67 of the 68 teams in the field.
It was something like that. Yeah. So, just real quick for anybody who's living under a rock, if you haven't filled out your bracket yet or whatnot, obviously Florida's in there as a 1 seed. Arkansas and Bama are 4 seeds. Vanderbilt is a 5 seed. Tennessee 6 seed, Kentucky 7 seed, Georgia 8 seed, A&M is a 10 seed, and then now Texas firmly in the field as an 11 seed. So that's your 10 representatives. With that, I feel like we could talk a little bit of the SEC tournament if you want, or kind of just lead into March Madness. But I did want to just kind of start our March Madness chatter with. We can talk about Florida, but other than Florida, is there any team that you think could make a decent run here? With Florida's obviously a 1 seed, and then despite getting 10 teams in, the next highest is Arkansas and Bama at that 4 seed line. So kind of what we thought a little bit of like, okay, maybe they were good depth wise, but perhaps a little bit down as a conference, the SEC. But that said, last year they were so good, the best year ever, best conference ever, some were saying, and then kind of flubbed in the tournament, with the exception, of course, of Florida. So just curious who you got your eye on out of the SEC in the tournament.
Well, I would have said Alabama. We're about to talk about this in a second here, but without their second leading scorer, I don't know that they are going to be able to make a run. It's pretty tough going, literally on the eve of the tournament to then turn right around and say, okay, now we got to replace our second leading scorer. Hard to find the points that you're going to need, I would say, in order to make a deep run if you're Alabama. So that one's going to be tough. But otherwise, man, I've liked how Vanderbilt has played basketball this year. I've seen them play pretty well, right? Like if you're talking about teams who I think can make a run, I think Vanderbilt has a chance to make a run. I think that Florida, for sure. I think Florida easily, the best team in the SEC this year in the regular season, and is going to have a chance to make another Final Four run. I mean, they're that good. They're hot. And then Arkansas as well, right? I mean, SEC champs, the only coach, I think, in SEC history, I think in maybe NCAA history, but for sure SEC history, to win the SEC tournament at 2 different schools. That's pretty cool, Coach Cal. So Coach Cal leading them and winning the SEC tournament, you always want to go into March hot. And so going in, winning an SEC tournament for the Hogs, and now going into March, even at that 4 seed level, right, that 4 seed line, I think you got a shot to make a run. Those are the 3 teams that I'm really looking at who've got a shot. I don't feel good about any of the ones down below that, to be honest with you. Texas A&M could get hot just for the simple fact of the way that they play, the style of play. Like if this offense gets hot, maybe they could make, some crazy run. Kentucky, I just don't trust at all, frankly. I don't, they've got a lot of talent. as we've seen that all year, right? Like they brought in a ton of talent. We know that they've got talent. We know, but they haven't put it together, and I don't trust Mark Pope right now. He may be able to get it done in the long run, but this team this year with what they have, it didn't mesh. It hasn't worked, which is why you see a super talented Kentucky team that they paid a bunch of money for on the 7 line. So yeah, you start going down past that 4 seed, 5 seed line where Vanderbilt and Arkansas are, and I don't trust a lot of them. Somebody could get hot, but I don't trust anybody to get hot enough to be able to make a deep run in the tournament, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I really like Arkansas, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Typical, right? It seems like every year, especially folks like us who are not dialed in from start to finish on the basketball season by any stretch, you kind of like, oh, who won their conference tournament? Like, who's hot?
Who's hot?
But not only is Arkansas hot, though, I mean, they've got, in my opinion, one of the better players in the country.
Yeah.
And he's at guard, right? So we've seen that over the last couple of years. I put the guy in our thumbnail. I can't think. It was Clayton, right, from Florida last year, right? Especially come tournament time. A lethal point guard is incredible. Now, what's his face? Darius Acuff. It's not Darius, is it? Yeah, it is Darius Acuff. Junior from Arkansas. He's not a Walter Clayton like senior experienced guy. He's a freshman, but the dude's a stud. Averaged 20 points in the regular season. In the SEC tournament, SEC record averaged 30. So
he's hot, baby.
He's hot. And you look at
that man the ball.
Right. And you look at where Arkansas is, and hey, everybody's it's March, right? Like everybody's got a tough draw. Like Wisconsin's a good team if they get them in the second round. Of course, Arizona, if Arkansas can advance to the Sweet 16, is very good, but maybe Arizona's not even there, right? Maybe Utah State gets them or whatever. So I do think Arkansas has as good a chance as anybody in that West Regional to possibly get out of it. That said, I don't want to rub salt in the Kentucky wound, like you brought up Mark Pope and them. I have zero faith in them to do anything. But one of the qualms that Kentucky fans had with Calipari and why he left for the Arkansas job before being fired is he didn't really do so great in March. He had a lot of early round exits with very good teams. So look, he's been around long enough. He's got a title. He's been to Final Fours. I would never look at what Cal has done and say, oh, he doesn't deliver in March. But there has been a lot of years where he's come up short. So keep that in the back of your head when you're thinking about Arkansas. Although I do think they are hot. Obviously, yeah, Florida. I love Florida. I mean, Golden. He's got them rolling. Weird start to his tenure and very weird year last year with all the kind of off the field stuff that went down, but clearly the guy can coach basketball. He's an absolute stud. And Florida,
that doesn't even matter. They won a national title.
Clearly it doesn't matter.
I'm just kidding. It does matter, obviously. I don't know the investigation. He was cleared. It's but they won a national title, and he's got them in a number 1 seed again. I mean, as long as that stuff is away in the past and he was cleared and it's all good, like he's going to have Florida going for. I mean, it could be a Billy Donovan type run. Billy Donovan goes, they win title. It was back-to-back titles. Am I right? 7.
Yeah, back-to-back.
Back-to-back with Joakim Noah and Torian Green and those guys. I mean, they could do that again this year. And if he ends up staying there for a long time, Florida's going to be in the mix as long as he's there. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, agree. And they're loaded. I mean, they just got size with Condon on the inside. Thomas Hall, their leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like a big, but he's big. He's long. He's athletic. They're of course dangerous. Similar to you, I mean, Alabama's a team that, especially with the style of play that Oates runs, if they get hot, but without Holloway, that's a challenge to see them really making a run. I mean, maybe Sweet 16, but I got to think if you go up against, presumably Michigan in that regional, if you're fortunate enough to make it to the Sweet 16, then Michigan will kind of, have their way with you, because the Wolverines are very, very good.
So before we move to the Holloway piece, because I think we need to get to that here in a second, I want to hear your Final Four.
Yeah.
If you have any SEC teams in the Final Four, and then maybe just go through your bracket, maybe give me like your one big upset in the first round, or maybe two.
Yeah, good call. I do not actually have any SEC teams in my Final Four.
Oh, the Homer show, man.
Yeah. So I have Michigan State.
Are you looking at your bracket? You're like, I hate this.
Yeah,
I hate this now.
I am. It took me all of 2 minutes to fill out, and now that I'm looking back at it, I'm thinking, what was I thinking here?
I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah. So I have Michigan State out of the East Regional, beating Duke in the Elite Eight. So that's my Final Four team there.
Oh, okay.
Then I have Houston exacting revenge on Florida in the Elite Eight of the South.
Okay.
So give me Michigan State and Houston. And then out of the West, I have Purdue taking out Arkansas in the Elite Eight and going to the Final Four. And then in the Midwest, I do have Michigan taking out Iowa State in the Elite Eight. So my Final Four: Michigan State, Houston, Purdue, Michigan.
We're similar. Okay. All right. Yeah. Give me some upsets.
Yeah. And then, my champion is Purdue. I've got Purdue taking out Michigan State.
Whoa. Zach Edey, huh?
If only he were still there.
He would 100%.
I heard one guy on one podcast say he was picking Purdue, and so that was enough for me to also pick Purdue.
Hard-hitting analysis here tonight.
Yeah,
we said it earlier. We're on the couch with you guys on college basketball.
Yeah, it's Matt Painter's time. He's put his time in. They've had a lot of heartbreak over the years. And they have that guard who's really good. Can't remember his name, but he was there a couple years ago. Scrappy little white guard. Yeah. Obviously, he goes to Purdue. So
required.
Yeah,
it's either Duke or Purdue.
Yeah, right. Upsets. I did go fairly chalk, I would say, overall. Like, I didn't have a 14 taken out of 3 or anything that wild. I mean, I picked Kentucky to lose. I really don't have any faith in them at the moment. And I think Santa Clara is not going to act like I've seen Santa Clara play, but I think they're pretty good.
Steve Nash.
Right. And they beat St. Mary's, I believe, twice this year. So St. Mary's is a good team. Santa Clara took them out. Split with them. Either way. I have Santa Clara beating Kentucky. And then my 12-5, which feels like, you got to do one every year, was Akron over Texas Tech.
Oof.
Just complete vibes there. Got no idea. And then I have South Florida beating Louisville. So 11-6, 12-5, and a 10-7 is kind of my upset picks.
I almost went with that as well. All right, I'll start with my upset picks. So I went Hofstra over the Crimson Tide. Round 1, 13.
All right.
Sorry, Rick. I'm sorry. But I went with it. This whole ADEN Holloway thing, it's got me worried about it. Yep. Not only that, but like we also had the Charles Bediako stuff. I mean, it's been Alabama, they have gotten through it, and got on the 4 seed line, right? Like, they've got one of the best offenses in the country. They've worked through it, but it's been a year of distraction for Alabama basketball. The Bediako stuff, it's just been there. Okay, this is still ongoing. Okay, finally he can't play. now we have this massive bombshell that drops of ADEN HOLLOWAY with, the weed, and we'll start with that, right? So, hey, look, I'm rooting for the Tide. I hope that they are able to beat Hofstra, but look, I'm picking Hofstra here. I just think it's been a big distraction here for the Tide. So that was one of my big upsets.
Yeah, it's a big one.
I also picked. I do have a 14 over a 3. I went hard to paint, unlike you this year. Kennesaw State over the Zags. Okay. Vibes. I have
vibes.
No idea if that'll happen or not. I'm going through my bracket. It's one of those things where, look, if you paid a little bit of attention to college basketball, but you haven't been dialed in, as you want to be going into March, you start picking these games and you realize you go back and you're like, I just picked all the top seeds. And that's not going to happen.
It can't happen that way.
So then you go back and you're like, all right, this is an upset. This is an upset. This is an upset. 12 High Point over Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah.
So 2 big ones out of the West is what I'm saying. And then I didn't pick. I picked on the 12-5 line. I like Patino, man. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But I picked Patino over Northern Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
In that 12-5. And then Vandy, I said I think Vandy can make a run. I think they will make a decent run. So I picked them over McNeese. But out of that region, I'm picking VCU over North Carolina. I'm not sold on Hubert Davis at North Carolina. 6th seed at North Carolina is not what they sign up for ever in Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
VCU at an 11 seed, they've been able to keep it together since their coach left for UVA. So I like that. We'll see what happens. I'm with you also. I picked Santa Clara over Kentucky. And then for my Final Four, I went homer too. I got 2 SEC teams in the Final Four. Can you guess which ones?
2 SEC teams in the Final Four. I'm going to say Florida.
Yes.
And Arkansas.
Bingo. Florida and Arkansas.
Believing in the Hogs.
I believe in the Hogs, baby. So I'm taking the Hogs.
We need we need the mashed potato guy to.
yeah. Somebody play that cut 5. Stick them in the mashed potatoes. So I got Arkansas playing Iowa State. So Iowa State coming out of the Midwest. Iowa State takes out Michigan. We had the same game there out of the Midwest. I think Iowa State gets over the hump, gets to the Final Four. So Arkansas, Iowa State in the first game in Indianapolis. And then I've got Duke coming out of the East playing Florida for that game, the second game in Indianapolis on April 4th. So my championship game is Duke and Iowa State. So I got the SEC teams in the Final Four, but I didn't get them to the championship game. And I got Duke winning it all. I think Duke is ridiculously good this year, and I think they're going to win it all. So,
boo.
Yeah, boo. Yeah.
Boo.
I know it. But, man, they look impressive. I think John Shire's got it figured out this year. And I have watched a little bit of Duke basketball this season, so they've impressed me. So I think they got it going on. I think they're your champs.
Fair. So, I mean, that's a better pick than Purdue, I think. That's a much there will be more people picking that than Purdue to win. But
hey, Athletes Forum, thanks for joining us. Let's see the duality. Happy March Madness. Good work, boss man. Getting Florida to the Final Four. Athletes Forum, Florida fan. Bad work, boss man. after I make them lose in the Final Four. I get it. Hey, Athletes Forum, I would much rather have Florida in the final and them win over Duke. But my gut and my heart are telling me Duke right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, again, we'll see. We're just
who knows, man? Just shooting in the dark.
Exactly. It's total shot in the dark. I mean, even for the people that do pay super close attention to this, which I am not one of them. So we'll see what happens. I picked Florida to win it all a year ago, and so every bracket that I was in, I won. I think for the most part, maybe there's one or two I didn't, but that's kind of the name of the game. If you pick the national championship, you have a very, very good chance of winning. Unless you're picking a super popular one and going into it last year. I don't think Florida was the odds-on favorite. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to tune in tomorrow. Like everybody, I think my bracket will be busted within a couple hours, but that's fine. And is what it is. But let's get to the ACUF, or not ACUF. I'm getting
Holloway.
The Arkansas guy. Yeah, confused with ADEN Holloway of Alabama. So just to reset here for any of you who did not see, ADEN Holloway, who's the second leading scorer on Alabama this year, I think it was like 16 points a game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 16.8. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he got arrested Monday for possession of marijuana. Cops found over a pound of weed, along with some paraphernalia, cash, etc. I did want to throw this up here because our man Rick is on it. The latest news is saying he won't be charged with trafficking, so that's a big deal because that is obviously what carries the higher sentence is trafficking and intent to distribute and stuff. I'm not going to speculate on what may happen, legally. All I will say is he's certainly done for the year. And I'm generally not a Stephen A. Smith fan, but in the wise words of Stephen A. Smith, stay off the weed.
Yeah, let's go to cut one.
Do it again.
Stay off the weed. Stay off the weed. And you can't stay off the weed.
Come on, man. You got to stay off the weed.
Weed. Okay,
by the way, that was a 12-second clip. I found a compilation on YouTube. It was like a minute long. just stay off the weed.
Yeah. So, look, I'm not going to totally vilify the kid. The chances are, assuming he has an NBA future, those teams don't care about it. I mean, that's rampant in the league. But
it is, but not having over a pound of it in your home.
And that's one big issue. And then the other big issue is just the timing. It's just like, dude, what are you doing?
Yes, I do think that there will be some NBA teams that will question it a little bit. No, they don't care about the weed, but it's more about the decision making and brother.
Agree.
Let's just think about this for a second, right? I don't know how much money he's getting paid at Alabama, but we're now in the NIL era. This is not the era 10 years ago, 15, 20, 30 years ago, where these kids aren't making any money, right? It is a little bit more understandable if you are sitting there at home and, you don't have any money, even though you're playing basketball at a, D1 school and you're going to the NCAA tournament and all this stuff. And, they're making money off your jersey sales, but you're not making any money, right? I need to find something else to do. I need to make money in another way because I can't make money, playing sports. It's illegal. You shouldn't do it. But I understand it a little bit more if that's the case. That is no longer the case.
Yeah.
You're making money. And if you're the second leading scorer on the University of Alabama, you're making some money. You know what I mean? Even if you're, a young gun, I forget, is he a sophomore? Remind me, Rick, you can help me out.
Junior.
He's a junior. Yeah, he's his second year at Alabama. He's a junior.
Yeah.
You're making some money, dude. I don't get it, and with the amount of weed that he had, I'm glad the trafficking charge is being dropped. It's probably because it's first time offense or something like that, right? But that's where your mind goes. I mean, I saw the pictures of all of it that they recovered. Yeah, you're selling it, duh. That's not all for him, come on. So it's just, here's what I'll say. It's extremely boneheaded. It's so boneheaded. It makes no sense. he's a young kid still, right? So he made a dumb mistake, right? I'm glad they dropped the trafficking charge. And I hope, and I also love this is the second thing. I love how Nate Oates handled this. All right. Obviously, like you gotta kick him off of campus. You gotta like go in, it's gotta go into an investigation. You gotta let the legal process play out, all that. But his quote, which I included in the newsletter this morning, when he first heard about this stuff, he's like basically like, hey, we heard about this morning. We didn't know any of this was going on, of course. And this is quote here. So, quote, we're certainly disappointed in his behavior, but that being said, we still love him. He's still our guy. We're helping him get the help that he needs, and we're going to continue to help him whatever way we can. Perfect. Still our guy. That's the Nick Saban way, right? That's how Nick Saban used to handle these things. And he went after some folks in the media years ago because the media were grilling him about one of the I can't remember which player it was, but one of the players who had gotten out of line and had issues. And he was like, well, would you rather me be the one who disciplined them and try to figure it out and get a way forward to get them on the other side of this stuff and to keep them within the program where they're probably best protected and probably going to have the best chance to succeed? Or do you want me to throw them out and throw them on the street? Which one do you think is going to be the way that they're going to succeed best? And the answer is obviously within the program, right? So if there's a way forward for that, it seems like Nate Oates wants to take that type of approach. And I applaud him for that. So boneheaded move. Don't do it again. Let's get through the legal process, and hopefully he can be reinstated with Alabama basketball later, pending what happens with the legal process.
Yeah. And I agree. I do think there will be whatever his prospects were NBA wise. There will be teams that balk at this because of the circumstances, the amount, like you said, it's one thing to get popped for a little baggie in your car or something. That happens all too often amongst college athletes, but yeah, a pound of weed, that does not happen very often. And so I think that will give, some teams, some GMs pause.
But especially because you're already making money.
Yeah.
Hey, you're making money and then you're going to there's no reason to make this boneheaded move, Yeah. And so I think that I think people will give him a pass a little bit because, again, young kid, we all made boneheaded moves. Like when we were young, I never tried to sell a pound of weed, but again, kids still do dumb things and then you grow up and you mature and whatever. So, it's not time to throw this kid out. And Nate Oates, I think, is handled the right way. But there will be some NBA teams who kind of look at it and be like, hey, man, there was no need to do this. This was an extremely boneheaded move that if they had kept the trafficking charge, carried up to 10-year sentence. This was not like you got in a bar fight and you got arrested and you got taken, to the drunk tank and you got charged with disorderly conduct and it's going to be a fine. This was something that potentially held 10 years in prison. So I think, I don't know the kid obviously, but for a lot of people like this is something that scares them straight. And at the end of the day, that's a good thing. If it scares you straight to get out of this stuff and, stay on the straight and narrow and, hey man, the NBA is your goal. There is no need to be playing around with this stuff. You're already making money. Just keep working on your craft, get to the NBA and have a wonderful career for 15 years,
Yeah, 100%. So it is a real shame though, not only for Holloway himself, but the team, Yeah. And that's, I think, the biggest lesson to take away in this, that your actions affect other people. And there's not just the guys on the team, but the staff, support staff, fans who are really let down by this. And that stinks. So tough day for Holloway and all of, the Crimson Tide faithful and people that invest in that program. So hopefully it doesn't derail their run in March, but Boss Man's already calling a shot. He says Hofstra all day. So
Yep. Go whatever they are. I can't even remember what Hofstra is.
I don't remember either. That's a good one. That's a good kind of off season, NCAA football 2005, where you just know all the the logos and the mascots. But Hofstra, yeah, what are they?
They look like Kent State. It looks like Kent State Golden Flashes, but they're not. They're not that. Let's see. What is it? Buffaloes or something? Help us in the comments. Who's got it? It's
like the Gate. It's not the Gales. That's St. Mary's.
The Pride. Hofstra's University. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. What is the? It's not the mascot.
So we got the Pride. That's what Athletes Forum is saying.
It's the Pride. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, Hofstra Pride. So it's like a lion pride. Okay, got it.
I'm honestly, great pull, Athletes Forum podcast. I'm not surprised I didn't get that one because
the Hofstra Pride men's basketball team, known until 2000 as the Hofstra Flying Dutchman. Man, that's like,
they should go back to that.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Especially for a basketball team.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Flying Dutchman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, we hope and pray that Holloway gets back on the straight and narrow, one way or the other, whenever this stuff gets wrapped up. Speaking of courtrooms and lawsuits, there's one thing, so we can move on here, and we'll kind of go to our just around the horn topics, or we'll do a little bit of a roundtable stuff here. But the first one I wanted to get to is the LSU lawsuit that broke, I think last week, shortly after we got off the show, maybe Thursday or Friday. I don't remember off the top of my head. But basically, the gist that I was getting was there's certain LSU reporters, like an executive editor at Tiger Rag, another reporter, Piper Hutchison, and then a local TV reporter, Chris Nakamoto, who have joined forces to sue LSU because they want to obtain records to see how it's paying their student athletes under the guise or understanding that there's public money being used in that, because LSU is a public university. So even, this is real legalese for me, I don't understand it, but I guess even if these are donations a la NIL, it's still public money because LSU is receiving it as a public university and then dispersing it is sort of my understanding of what the lawsuit is getting at.
It can get FOIA'd, essentially.
Yes.
Or whatever the state version of that is. Yeah.
Right. That's what they want. Exactly. They want to be able to see where this money's going, who's getting it, So there was a big firestorm on social media about it. LSU fans, of course, were pissed that people sort of within their own ranks, so to speak, would do this. Granted, sometimes we got to remember here that people that cover the team don't necessarily root for the team. In fact, most of them do not, because of the old journalistic standards. Maybe if you write for the fan site like Texags or a 247 message board, you are a fan.
Well, but
not everybody is.
But Tiger Rag
for sure.
A fan site. Like, I'm surprised to see him on that lawsuit. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, people were pretty pissed off at Tiger Rag. So
I bet. Well,
subscriptions they lost.
I was about to say, that's like sticking your neck out. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a fan site, like you cater to the fan, and so yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure there's a lot like on the forums, man. Just there's got to be like 100 that could be sent to message board geniuses just about it. We're getting off of Tiger Rag.
Yeah, right. So anyway, I haven't seen anything really other than or since this story broke. As with anything in the court system, I imagine we're gonna have to wait a while before there's a ruling on this. But I thought it worth mentioning, because it could impact LSU directly in the fact that they would have to potentially release their payroll, which would be great for opposing teams and also probably not great for LSU, because you might get to see, oh, this guy makes this much and I'm making this much and I'm whoever I am and I think I'm great and I think I should be making more. But also, yeah, just like competitive advantage wise, I do want to caveat this though, because I saw so many LSU fans bemoaning this because of that, saying, "Oh, it's competitive advantage. We don't want this," and I don't blame them. I wouldn't want it either.
Sure.
But the second this happens, the precedent is set. Every other school in the SEC is about to get the same lawsuit on their desk. So it might take, again, 3 months, 6 months, however long, but like, if LSU is the first domino to fall in this, they will not be the last. So they might have a short period of time where they are disadvantaged. But in the grand scheme of things, if LSU is forced to fork this information over, every public university would be as well in time.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. Like there's an avalanche. This is a cascade effect. And eventually, like, everyone's going to FOIA to get this done. And if you're A&M, to use an example, right, it's going to be the Bryan College Station Eagle, even though they cover the team and they have to cover the team, they'll cover them forever. Generally, I think, friendly to A&M athletics, right? Like,
sure.
If I'm them, I'm doing that. I'm FOIAing it. I'm doing whatever the state is to do that, because that's journalistically what I should do. Right. And this is smart. Like, the way they did it as a journalist, we want to see this. It's a public story. It's a big story. It's, what our reader, I guarantee you, if they are able to get this done, if it does go through, that as soon as they get the numbers and they publish them, it's gonna make their readership, their subscribe, like all that, like, smart business. It is.
Yeah.
So that part of it is fascinating. The other part of it that's fascinating to me is kind of, I guess there's two things that are, but one is that you just mentioned if that comes out, right, kids on the roster who start looking up and down and being like, whoa, hold on. Like, we were talking about me being XYZ, one of the top 5 highest paid players on this team. That's what you sold me. And I'm number 12. I'm this, I'm that, or whatever, could be a whole lot of crazy dynamics that come out of that. And then that could go to something that we talked about a while back, which it was sort of closed, I believe, if I remember right. We're going to have to check me, but like the pocket transfer, where these kids don't go into the portal and they just end up on another campus, right?
Yeah.
Could we see that, from LSU, or maybe it's another school if, these other schools do end up getting these lawsuits, just like, hey, deuces, like, I'm getting $800K and you're paying this guy $2.5 million and I'm better than that guy. Like, what? I want to go somewhere else where they're going to pay me $1 million,
Yeah. Or they just get tampered with. Exactly.
Exactly. That's
School X says, hey, now I know exactly what you're making. I don't even have to do any digging.
You're better than him. Yeah.
We'll pay you this. Come over here.
Right. So I think that whole thing's fascinating. The other part of it that's fascinating to me is, like, I think this could take us to almost an NFL model, right? Like, at the end of the day, might be where we're going. It seems like where we're going with just about everything else with the structure of this sport. We talked last week all about potential Super League, what that looks like. We can talk a minute again about what, Commissioner Sankey said. We talked at length last week about, his comments about the NCAA and breaking away. And there's another little caveat and nuance to that he mentioned again this week. And so it seems like that's where we're going with the NFL style stuff. It's just overarching where we're going, for better or for worse. And so maybe that's another place where we're going here, where it's going to be, you have a cap and for parity. And then also you have to publish what your roster is and what they're making. And it's basically negotiation style, right? To me, if that's where we go, it's going to be transparent. Everybody knows what everybody's making. But then at the same time, we're going to have some of these other guardrails around it, like Senator Tuberville, former Auburn coach, former Ole Miss coach, Texas Tech coach, Cincinnati, Pine Box. Yeah, that guy, Senator Tommy Tuberville. He was talking about it the other week. I heard him I think it was either, I don't know if it was at that the round table or where it was, but he mentioned that he felt like we should go back to one transfer, maybe 2. Like, you get one transfer free, right? And then otherwise, if you do it again, like, you got to sit out a year. And I think that's fair. I do think that's fair, especially if we get to this point where we've got these basically balance sheets, right? You see the balance sheet of everybody. You see that everybody's getting paid. You just can't. Otherwise, it becomes, we're already here with the crazy free agency. But if the balance sheets are open, you've got caps, like all this stuff is more set, and we've got more parameters around it. You just can't have kids transferring really more than once. In my opinion, maybe once is even too much, right? It's like, hey, you get one time, you're probably going to sit out a year, right? Like you got to. But because it's school still, I think you got to give them one. But then a second time, like we can't just be having this. Otherwise, it's just going to be a total free for all and it'll never end.
Totally. Well, you brought up one thing I did want to touch on. We don't need to spend too much time on it because you kind of just hit on it there, but also we talked about it at length last week. If you want to catch that, obviously last week's show is on our YouTube channel. We talked a lot about the SEC talking about potentially exiting because Greg Sankey had mentioned it. Well, a little more came out that I think is worth noting that so since our episode last week, we had an SEC president say to Ross Dellinger that, quote, the conference might be forced to go our own way. And then Sankey followed that up saying, quote, I don't think anyone on any campus wants the status quo to remain. In our league, by a unanimous vote, we can't go on as we are. So a little more emphatic than what he said last week. We talked at length about it last week because it was kind of the first time we'd actually heard Sankey say anything about that. And then this week he's like really saying it. Now, we can't go on as we are is about as vague as he could have been. But you got an SEC president saying we might just have to go on our own. We got Sankey mentioning back-to-back weeks. The SEC may be splitting off or considering it, or at least can't go on as we are. So reading the tea leaves, it seems, and we talked at length about this, I don't see the SEC splitting off by themselves. But to me, it could be PR kind of lobbying, jockeying talk. I don't think that's really what's going on here. I think they're actually looking to move a lot of things around. And that may mean the SEC plus separates from the NCAA, or that may mean they get some changes that they've been calling for to actually happen. And then, okay, now we can settle down a little bit. But as Sankey said, we can't go on as we are. And everybody seems to be aligned on that. So it seems like something's coming down the pike, whether that's in the next 6 months or the next year. That's kind of what I would put it at, maybe like within the next year. It seems like something's coming.
I think that's right. I think this is super calculated from Greg Sankey. There is a reason that he chose right now to talk about it.
Yeah.
He knows that the president's roundtable just happened. He knows the president is listening. He knows the president has his eyes on this, and he knows other big people around the sport do as well. Nick Saban was just at this roundtable. They're trying to make a push on Capitol Hill to get this stuff figured out. So I think that, and Sankey has now talked about it twice in 2 weeks, right? Major national outlets who he's talking to.
Yeah.
Greg Sankey is not dumb. He is very calculated when he does things like this. So I think that's what's happening. And I think that he's really, the whole point of this for him is this is accelerationist. Okay. He's turning up the heat and he's turning up the dial and he's pressing the gas. Yeah. He's hearing from the member schools at the SEC, which he has now mentioned twice in these two different, the Feinbaum interview. And who'd you say it was? It was Dellinger he was talking to? Was the other one?
Dellinger reported it. I think it was Dellinger he was talking to, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't recall.
So he has said this twice now that it's member schools. So he is getting breathing down the neck, it sounds like, from these member schools, understandably so.
Yeah.
Who are telling him enough is enough. We're done with this. We're sick of it. Something has to change. And, we either change or we got to figure something else out, which means the NCAA. It is either the NCAA or we have to break away. We have to figure out what is next. We have to figure out what is past this. And so with everything that's happening on Capitol Hill with, and at the White House at 1600 Pennsylvania. There's a lot of eyeballs on this right now. So he is using that to his advantage to turn up the heat on the NCAA, to turn up the heat on Capitol Hill. And basically, it's a threat. It's a threat. And the threat is the status quo cannot remain, which means get it done, get it figured out, get the SCORE Act passed, or the SEC is starting to lead the charge to say we have to do something different. And what that looks like is anybody's guess. We've talked about it on this show. We talked about it last week. We think it probably goes to Super League. I know Ari Wasserman of On3 says the same. Yeah, we better do it sooner than later, Mike, because it may not be as Hammer laid out. I think that these comments tell you that heat's turned up, acceleration. That's what we're doing. We're pressing the gas, which means this could be within a year that we have a decision, whether it's going to be the NCAA remains, the NCAA gets antitrust, the NCAA is able to put guardrails and enforcement on this, or the NCAA is no longer, and we now have some sort of Super League, whatever that ends up looking like.
Yeah, I agree. So same thing we said last week. I encourage y'all to go back and watch that show, but we don't know when, we don't know where, we don't know what's going to look like, but something's going to happen. It seems like, it's felt like that for a long time. Now we're getting that message reiterated from the people that are actually in the know. So we'll keep you posted on this, and we'll keep our ears to the ground, of course. Last thing that I felt like we should at least touch on in our little kind of around the horn smorgasbord to close the show is SEC baseball. So we finally got into conference play this past weekend. I know it's taken backseat to SEC tournament and March Madness for the time being, but we had some big matchups last week, and our friends over at SEC Baseball, who do a phenomenal job covering the league on all over social media, put out this handy dandy graphic. So you can see here, the results. A few. Well, did you have any that stood out to you that you wanted to talk about? I got a couple notes that I wanted to mention here, but if you've got something that jumped out at you, let me know.
Well, first, right there in the middle there, Vandy taking 2 from LSU, winning that series, number 13 LSU now. LSU just kind of continuing to slide. I mean, I think that's the main one that stands out to me there. Oklahoma taking 2 from Texas A&M, winning that series is solid as well. And then, I mean, Florida number 23, sweeping South Carolina. South Carolina, man, I'm interested to see how this one goes. I think it may be 2 and done for Maneri in Columbia.
Oh, he's so done. I feel terrible. Sorry, Mike. I know you're probably still watching. That's just been a complete disaster. Which is a shame. Which is a real shame for him and the program.
Yes, I agree with that. So those were a couple that stuck out to me. One thing to mention too is I think it was it today or yesterday? I think it was yesterday that so we've got, well, obviously we're in SEC play. That's on the weekends, and then we've got some midweek games that are going on. Tarleton State beat Texas.
They did.
So add that to the list of kind of crazy upsets that we've seen in college baseball so far this year. LSU having, I think at least 2 of those on their schedule, on their dock. So those are a couple things that stood out to me from really the first week of paying some close attention to SEC baseball. Other than the fact that I can't remember the kid's name, but the volunteer who got embarrassed by hitting that home run that got robbed and making a whole scene of it. But yeah.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to bring up, that if you haven't seen that, I'm sure if you're watching our show, you're dialed in enough to the SEC to see that. But yeah, the Tennessee guy, I'm not here to rag on Tennessee or the way they play. I like it most of the time.
Yeah.
But it also felt pretty dang good to see this guy hit the ball, spike his bat, start screaming.
Yeah.
Pimping his home run that turned out to not be a home run, and they lose the series because this, so that was cool.
It's a good lesson, man. You're never going to live that one down. Like
Correct.
that one's just on tape, and it better be a no doubter. I'm talking like 420 feet at least if you're going to do something like that.
Again, I don't know. I know Vitello kind of encouraged that. He's gone, and I had no problem with that. But you're right. I think like if I was the coach of Tennessee, I've got no problem with generally how they handle themselves. After that, I would tell that kid, if you ever do that again on my team, I don't care if you hit a 450-foot home run. If you ever do that again, you are on the bench. Right. Somebody else wants to do it and they hit a home run, fine by me. But you, because of the fool you made us all look like, you're done with that. You can hit a 450 bomb, you put your head down, you trot around the bases and come back to the dugout. And
shake hands with the third base coach.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So that was good. And Georgia's got a good ball club. They're in the top 10. So taking 2 out of 3 at home is not a surprise. I did want to mention, so the LSU, Vanderbilt's been struggling early this year too. Obviously, you see they're unranked there. But LSU has since fallen out of the rankings, which was deserved. They've really struggled. I think they're like 14-7, so they're off to a real slow start.
Kind of the curse lately, right? You win a national title and you just slide.
Preseason expectations. Yeah, I mean Florida and A&M last year were good examples, and LSU this year. I wanted to note in the A&M Oklahoma series, Oklahoma, looks good. 2 of those games were 1-run ball games. So A&M was just on the wrong side, a couple close ones there. I didn't get eyes on Mississippi State at Arkansas, but we did bring that up going into the weekend, a top 5 matchup. The Hogs hold serve at home there, take 2 out of 3. So big series win for them. A big welcome to the SEC moment for Brian O'Connor because, Fayetteville is always rocking, especially a top 5 matchup like that. And then I was a little surprised. I mean, Kentucky's had a good ball club the last couple of years, but so has Bama. So them losing 3 was a little surprising to me. We'll keep an eye on the Crimson Tide and see if they're, maybe in a bit of a down year or sort of back to the norm. They haven't traditionally been that good, but the last couple of years have had a good club. And then to wrap it up, Auburn still very good. They're really the last couple of years have turned things up, and Mizzou still stinks. So Mizzou getting off to basically the same start that they did last year, where, gosh, if I remember right, they didn't win an SEC game, if I'm correct, until they played A&M, and then they swept A&M, and they were like 0-21 or something going into that series, and then swept the Aggies. So
that's correct, and that was the weirdest thing too, because that was I believe that series was maybe like the 3rd from the last series of the season, and so like a couple series prior, there had been a little bit of life. Like, hey, A&M, they beat, I forget who they beat. I think they beat Arkansas in the series.
Like Arkansas, LSU. They had a couple big series wins.
Tennessee, I think they beat in a series, and everybody was like, oh, okay, A&M finally freaking woke up. Like, maybe they're going to make a run. And if they if they keep winning series like this, they had Georgia late in the year. I think it was either the second to last or the last series. It was like, hey, they win these series against teams that are in the top 15, top 5, right? Like they're gonna get in, and if they get in, like maybe they'll get hot, and then they get swept by Missouri at home.
Yeah, in Bluebell. Like,
oh my gosh, they're done. They're cooked.
Yeah. So we'll see. Obviously, again, that was weekend 1. We got a long season ahead, but I will certainly be keeping an eye on that because I love SEC baseball. So let's close it up with our final 2 segments. We do this every week, as all of y'all know. The Mike Leach Coach of the Week as an homage to the Pirate for his passion and the fun that he brought to the sport. Put the smile on our face all the time. So we give this major award out every week to honor someone that made us smile or did something nice or had I don't know, an inspiring speech, whatever it may be. Somebody that embodied and kind of reminds us a bit of Coach Leach. So you put this one together this week. Of course, it's March Madness, so we're going the basketball route, but feel free to set this one up.
Well, this is a man who has a lot of charisma, and so I know that he has never had a fat little girlfriend. His girlfriends have always been very pretty. That man would be Rick Pitino, because I think they won the Big East tournament for the second year in a row.
Yeah.
And so he's now at St. John's, and he's been all over the place at this point in his career. But basically everywhere he's been, he has won, whether he's cheating or not. And so, but he's won everywhere he's been, and he keeps getting hired because he keeps winning. And now he's got a lot of eyes on him, and with all the the Louisville stuff and all. So even now, I don't think he's really doing anything untoward, probably. And he's winning still, keeps winning. So he's winning now at St. John's, and he won the Big East title. And for all of Rick Pitino's faults, he cracks me up. He's always got a funny quip for the media. He's got that. I think he's Sicilian, Italian from the Northeast. He's just a funny guy, and so he's always got something funny. Always good clips that come out from him. So anyway, this was from. It's a quick clip, but he was drinking a beer. They're at the press conference. One of his players is talking. He's off on the side, just having the time of his life. We've won the Big East 2 years in a row. I'm just going to have a beer at the press conference. So. The Mike Leach Coach of the Week, Rick Pitino, here it is.
I feel like that's the biggest thing. We have a great team right here. I'm in a great group of guys. I feel like that's the biggest thing. We have a great team right here. I'm in a great group of guys.
There it is, baby. So, hey.
Yeah, that's a good caption too, the Godfather, because he kind of feels like that at this point. Like you said, he's kind of been everywhere. He's had some ups and downs, but everywhere he goes, he wins. And he's definitely at that point in his career. Maybe I'm incorrect here, but it kind of just seems like now at this point, everybody's kind of like on his side, so to speak, of just like, yeah, Rick Pitino, like we like Rick, where definitely he's been through some periods where he was not well liked or exiled to Greece to coach. Yeah. But that almost made me respect him more. He gets booted out of the NCAA. All this stuff goes down, and instead of sitting on his butt, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go coach in Greece because I just love to coach basketball so much."
Born to coach.
Yeah,
born to coach.
So good for Rick Pitino. I mean, yeah, I love having him in the game. At least in and around involved in college basketball, and it's kind of perfect. He's coaching at St. John's now. Just up in where are they? Queens or Brooklyn or somewhere up there.
I think Queens. I think that's right. Yeah.
So anyway, that's a good one. Yeah. Shout out to old Rick Pitino. Last segment of the week. We also do this one every week. The Biscuit of the Week. We love Southern food, Southern culture, and we love biscuits here. We are the #1 podcast, according to Time Magazine, for people that love the SEC and biscuits. Important crossroads there of America.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like to feature a biscuit every week. If you would like to be featured, send us an email, drop us a DM all over social media. You can find us. We're easy to find. Send that to us. We'd be happy to feature it, just as we feature our friend Rick Wilmarth, aka Captain Biscuit, his biscuits quite frequently. So if you would like to be included in that, drop us a line. This week is a home game biscuit from me. So the other week, my in-laws were in town. After church, we went to Cafe Bluebird. The meal on the left there is what I had. It's called the Kentucky cornbread. So it's basically biscuits and gravy, but instead of biscuits, it's a slab of cornbread. So it's cornbread, sausage patty, gravy with eggs on top, and potatoes on the side. And then on the right there is my father-in-law's chicken fried steak with scrambled eggs. So he went pretty heavy there too with the chicken fried steak and scrambled eggs and potatoes. So good meal. I would highly recommend the Kentucky cornbread. And that's a half order of the Kentucky cornbread for those wondering, because I got a waffle on the side as well. So if you get the full order, it is a heaping helping of cornbread and gravy and sausage and all the good stuff.
Yeah, man, that looks awesome. I mean, the chicken fried steak, I am all in for that. And I mean the whole thing, the gravy, I love the home fries. Home fries.
Mhm.
I'm at look, I get it. Waffle House, I'm all in for that, no problem. But every once in a while, I do like a good set of home fries. So those home fries look fantastic. Maybe a little bit of ketchup. I don't know if you guys use that, but ketchup on home fries is pretty good. So might want that. Although there might be plenty of gravy for you
Some
guys.
gravy. I was throwing on some hot sauce. They actually have a
Okay.
house-made hot sauce that they give you that's pretty good. So, yeah, I'm with you. I almost think I prefer home fries unless it's Waffle House. Then I want the shredded, smushed into a 1/4 inch patty,
Yep.
hash browns. But otherwise, I think that they don't. I trust Waffle House. I don't trust a lot of other people with those kind of stringy ones because I think you get them super crispy on the outside and then kind of mushy, cold on the inside is what I find. What
That's
do you think
fair.
about that?
It's tough. It's tough. I've tried to do them at home myself, and that's a good take. Very good take.
So have I. Yeah, I tried to do that one time and I was like, these turned out terrible.
But I will say something that didn't turn out terrible. Hammer sourdough bread. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is Hammer at his home in Fort Collins this week. This is his first sourdough bread that he made. He is now domesticated. We went from Fu Manchu Hammer. I don't have a picture of that right now, but we'll have it on SEC After Dark tomorrow. We went from Fu Manchu Hammer to Mr. Domesticated, and I've never seen a more beautiful loaf of sourdough in my life. So he did tell me that that means, I think, now that he has this talent, that he's probably going to be doing some sourdough biscuits here in the future.
That's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did. I baked a loaf of sourdough. It was delicious. It's already gone. See, the thing is, I mean, this show is called Biscuits and SEC. It's we're not hiding the fact that you and I love bread. I really love bread. And so my wife makes sourdough pretty regularly. It was not quite regularly enough for me. So I just asked her, instead of telling her to make more, I said, hey, can you just show me how to do this so I can make it myself? Because I eat it way too often. So I took, that's what I did. She showed me how to do it and I made a loaf. And so now there's no holding me back. I mean, it could be an everyday thing. I can just eat the entire thing.
If anybody needs a loaf, DM Hammer, DM SEC, and maybe that's what our business model is now.
Yeah,
Hammer sells sourdough. But yeah, well, I mean, look, that was smart of you too, because if your wife is ever on a business trip or she's out of town and you can't get the sourdough fix, you don't want to go down to your local bakery, although it may be wonderful to pay $15 for your sourdough roll if you can just make it at home.
I know.
So yeah, you don't want to go without.
Yep. So no, you're right. Next up on the agenda, I'll figure out how to make some sourdough biscuits with the discard, as they say. Now that I'm getting into it, I'm getting into the lingo. So I'll figure that out. But yeah, sourdough, A1.
It was darn good. So, yep, that was a solid biscuit of the week. I remembered, I was like, we could do it on another show, but I don't think so. This is timely. He did it this week. His first sourdough loaf ever. I think we got to show the people.
Exactly. Well, yeah, thanks for that. That surprised me. I didn't know that was in the docket, but appreciate the shout out there. I am very domesticated these days, so
nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm settling in just fine.
Watching the birds now.
Yeah, exactly. So, anywho, that will do it for us. We got a little bit of extra football in for all of y'all out there. Thanks again for tuning in this week. As always, we'll be back next week. So if you enjoyed it, please come back, give us a follow, like on social media, what have you. Consider signing up for the newsletter. Again, free once a week. We're not spamming you. And if you don't like it, you just unsubscribe. No big deal. But we do think you will like it. So thanks for all the support. We will see y'all next week. For Boss Man, I am Hammer. Have a good rest of the week, y'all.
Appreciate y'all. See you next week.